August is one of the richest months for deep sky imaging, especially in the north. At midnight, the Milky Way arches overhead, bursting with nebulae, reflection clouds, and dark dust lanes tangled together. But in the south, a quiet shift is underway. The Milky Way dominates early in the night, then dips westwards, revealing the first hint of galaxy season. Whether you're shooting wide or deep, August is packed with possibilities, and in this video, I will guide you through the best targets to capture. I'm Tim, and you're watching Cosmic Captures. As always, the moon plays a big role in planning when and what you can capture. This month, the first quarter lands on August the 1st. The full moon, known as the Sturgeon moon, rises on August the 9th. The last quarter comes on August the 16th, and the new moon falls on August the 23rd. To help you time your imaging sessions, the Moonlight Astrophotography Planner, or MAP, is updated now on my website. It's free to download and highlights the best nights for broadband and narrowband imaging. In the northern hemisphere, August is one of the best times to capture the Milky Way at its most dramatic. Around midnight, the galaxy core reaches its highest point in the southern sky, while the Milky Way spans overhead, perfect for vertical compositions framed against foreground landscapes or silhouettes. It's also a great time for nightscape panoramas and time-lapses, especially from dark locations. In the southern hemisphere, the Milky Way remains bold in the first half of the night, but slowly shifts westwards as the month progresses. This is one of your last chances to photograph the full arc before it sinks below the horizon earlier each night, signaling the slow transition toward the southern galaxy season. And if that's not enough reason to stay out late, August also brings one of the most anticipated meteor showers of the year. The Perseids are back, but this year they'll be competing with the moon. Their peak is expected on August 11th and 12th, just a few days after the full moon, and that means bright skies during the most active nights, especially after midnight when the Perseids are usually at their best. And while this year's conditions aren't ideal, you never know what the sky has planned. Last year, I stayed out for the Perseids on the second peak night. The meteors were underwhelming, no fireballs, nothing too dramatic. But then, completely unexpected, an aurora lit up the sky and turned the night into something unforgettable. So even if the forecast isn't perfect, it might still be worth heading out. Block the moon with a building or a tree and you might catch a few bright streaks, or something else entirely. Have you ever had a night where the sky surprised you even when the forecast said it wouldn't? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what you ended up capturing. And now, let's dive into August's best deep sky targets, from classics to hidden gems. NGC 7000 is a vast emission nebula in the constellation Cygnus, located about 2,600 light-years away. Its shape strikingly resembles the North American continent, with the Gulf of Mexico region especially well defined, making it one of the easiest nebulae to recognize in the night sky. In fact, its unique shape and bright color makes it stand out even in ultra-wide Milky Way shots. If you've ever taken a photo of the northern summer Milky Way with a fast wide lens, chances are you've already captured it without realizing. The bright sculptured arc known as the Cygnus Wall is a region of intense star formation, where ultraviolet radiation from newborn stars is carving glowing ridges out of dense hydrogen gas. A field of view between 2 and 4 degrees is ideal to frame both the North American Nebula and the nearby Helix Nebula, separated only by a dark dust lane. Narrowband filters reveal rich contrast and intricate detail, while broadband imaging also works beautifully under darker skies. H-alpha is especially strong here, and with a dual narrowband filter, one-shot color cameras can bring out impressive results. This is a fantastic region to experiment with color palettes, star reduction, or creative framing. So whether you're shooting with a DSLR, a mirrorless setup, a smart telescope, or even a full deep sky rig, NGC 7000 delivers. Thanks to its scale and brightness, it's a rare combination of structure, contrast, and visual impact. But not all nebulae sprawl across the sky. Some condense their drama into compact glowing shells, like this next target. M27, better known as the Dumbbell Nebula, is one of the brightest and most accessible planetary nebulae in the night sky. Located in the constellation Vulpecca, it lies about 1,360 light-years away and appears as a glowing hourglass, the result of a dying star shedding its outer layers into space. At its center is a faint white dwarf, the remnant of the original star, now surrounded by the expanding shell of ionized gas. Over thousands of years, that shell has grown into the beautiful, intricate structure we see today, part bubble, part hourglass, part mystery. It's a rewarding target for nearly all setups. A field of view between 0.5 to 0.7 degrees works well to frame the main structure with some surrounding space. Narrowband filters like O3 and H-alpha reveal the faint outer lobes and extensions, while sulfur 2 adds interesting structure in the bright core of the nebula. Broadband imaging captures the iconic blue-green glow, and because it's so bright, M27 is also forgiving under light-polluted skies. It's a great target for moderate to long focal lengths, and works beautifully with DSLRs, one-shot color cameras, monorigs, and smart telescopes alike. If you've never imaged a planetary nebula before, this is one of the best places to start. And now, from a dying star to the aftermath of a stellar explosion, in one of the most delicate and beautiful structures in the night sky. The Veil Nebula is a colossal supernova remnant in the constellation Cygnus, located about 2,100 light-years away. It spans over 3 degrees across in the sky, more than 6 times the width of the full moon, and represents the expanding shock waves of a massive star that exploded around 10,000 to 20,000 years ago. One side, NGC 6960, the western veil, sweeps past the bright star 52 Cygni in a glowing arc of filaments. On the opposite side lies NGC 6992, the eastern veil, forming a dense tangled network of ionized gas. Both are dramatic on their own, but they're just part of a much larger interconnected structure. Fainter regions like Pickering's triangle and other filaments stretch between these arcs, making this a perfect target for wide-field imaging or mosaics. A field of view of around 2.5 degrees or more works well to frame individual segments. But to capture both main arcs together, go even wider or stitch together a multi-panel mosaic. Narrowband filters like H-alpha and Oxygen 3 bring out fine detail and contrast, while broadband imaging gives a more natural atmospheric result. Under dark skies, both can be spectacular. It's one of the most detailed and visually striking remnants in the sky, a place where stellar violence becomes cosmic art. We've seen the aftermath of a stellar death, and now let's visit a place where new stars are being born. The Cocoon Nebula lies in the constellation Cygnus, around 3,300 light-years away from Earth. With an apparent size of around 12 by 10 arc minutes, it's a compact but beautifully layered target. and a striking example of a stellar nursery still wrapped in its birth cloud. At its core is a young star cluster illuminating the surrounding hydrogen gas and reflection nebula, while dark dust from the nebula Barnard 168 stretches outwards like a cosmic umbilical cord. A focal length between 300 and 800 millimeters works well, depending on how much of the surrounding dust you want to include. In longer exposures, you can trace this dust lane well beyond the cocoon, making it a fantastic target for color-rich broadband imaging. It's a nebula where natural RGB imaging really shines, thanks to its vivid mix of red emission, blue reflection, and dark dust structures. But if you want to go deeper, adding H-alpha can reveal subtle extended emission in the background, something I've captured in my own image of this region. With enough exposure time and a clean sky, the cocoon becomes more than just a nebula. It becomes something delicate and unexpected, like a flower blooming in the dark. And next up, a nebula shaped by violent stellar winds. NGC 6888, also known as the Crescent Nebula, is a glowing shell of gas in the constellation Cygnus, located about 5,000 light-years away. It was formed by a massive Wolf-Rayet star nearing the end of its life, shedding powerful stellar winds that collided with earlier ejected material, creating shockwaves that carved this dramatic shape. It sits in the nebula and star-rich Zeta region, surrounded by a dense, glowing backdrop of hydrogen gas and embedded star fields. Even in wider field compositions, the Crescent stands out clearly as a compact, high-contrast structure within the chaos. Some call it the cosmic brain because of its tangled organic appearance. And to astrophotographers, it's one of the most striking emission nebulae in the northern sky. A field of view of around 0.6 to 1 degree works well, especially if you want to include more of the surrounding Cygnus backdrop. What we see is a mix of glowing hydrogen and oxygen gas, wrapped into a full arc of filaments, knots, and fine internal texture. This is a target where narrowband filters really shine. H-alpha brings out the structure in the core. O3 helps reveal the fainter outer arcs. And there's even some faint sulfur-2 signal that can add subtle layers of detail in more advanced compositions. It's a rewarding target for dedicated imaging rigs, mono setups, and smart telescopes alike, as long as you give it enough time to bring out those delicate structures. We've seen bold and bright, and now let's look for something subtle and easily missed. LBN 331 is a delicate and complex structure lying about 3,000 light-years away in the nebula-rich region of Cygnus. You might sense its presence even in wider Milky Way shots, but it's only when you go deeper that its true character emerges. It stretches roughly 1.5 by 3 degrees across the sky. This region is rich in both emissions and dust. Broadband imaging reveals the dusty backdrop and natural star colors. But narrowband imaging is where this target truly shines. If you can, try blending both. The result can be quietly stunning. Hydrogen alpha forms a soft background glow, with a sulfur-2 signal adding depth and structure. O3, on the other hand, is incredibly faint. In this image, I had to dedicate over 10 hours to O3 data alone, with nearly 30 hours of total integration time to bring out the full picture. LBN 331 isn't ideal for smart telescopes or for shorter sessions. But for those ready to dive in, it's one of the most rewarding deep sky challenges of the month. A chance to capture something subtle, beautiful, and often overlooked. But now, let's leave the north behind and head into the long nights of the southern winter. where a showstopper awaits. NGC 7293, also known as the Helix Nebula, is one of the most recognizable planetary nebulae in the sky. It's located in Aquarius about 650 light-years away. Spanning nearly half a degree, it takes up almost the same space in the sky as the full moon. But unlike the moon, it's faint and requires long exposures to bring out its beautiful layered structure. Objects like these always make me reflect on how dramatically different the night sky would look if we could see all these faint structures with our own eyes. It would be incredible to see the Helix Nebula hanging there ghostly and detailed like a second moon. And that makes me wonder, if you could see one deep sky object with your own eyes in full detail, which one would it be? What we can photograph here is the outer shell of a dying star. A glowing sun-like remnant expelled into space and lit up by the ultraviolet radiation of the white dwarf at its core. The inner region glows intensely in oxygen-3, surrounded by a fainter but beautifully layered hydrogen envelope, forming a kind of a cosmic double ring. It's a surprisingly accessible target for both mono and color camera users. It's also a great object for smart telescopes. The main challenge is elevation. It sits low for northern observers, so careful timing and a clear southern horizon are key. But if you're imaging from the southern hemisphere, the Helix is an unforgettable sight. And now, we end this journey with a final stop in the southern skies, to something much larger and much farther away. NGC 6744 is a sprawling spiral galaxy located in the constellation Pavo, about 30 million light-years away. It stretches more than 175,000 light-years across, making it even larger than our own galaxy. From our vantage point, we see it at a slight tilt, revealing elegant sweeping arms wrapped around a soft yellow core. Look closely and you'll find delicate dust lanes, clusters of pink star formation and subtle blue trails winding through its pale outer disk. It fits nicely within a 0.5 to 1 degree field of view and is an excellent broadband target for DSLRs, dedicated astro cameras and even smart telescopes with tighter framing. Due to its relatively faint surface brightness, it's an object that rewards patience. And it truly comes alive with longer exposures and careful processing. This giant galaxy is a powerful reminder of what our galaxy might look like from the outside. And that makes it an especially rewarding target in August. And in many ways, NGC 6744 is also a quiet herald of the Southern Hemisphere galaxy season, slowly returning as winter skies give way to spring. That wraps up the astrophotography highlights in August. But if you'd like to get a quick overview of all the targets, framing tips and filter suggestions, you will find everything bundled in the cap file on my website. It's an easy way to plan your session, especially if you want to make most of clear nights. And if you're not done exploring just yet, many of last month's targets are still riding high, making them perfect companions for this month's lineup. So wherever you point your scope in August, may your skies be clear and your captures beautiful.